The total hydrogen needed to fill all 20 is 486,000 cubic feet. Free hydrogen has a lifting power of roughly 70 pounds per 1,000 cubic feet. The 20 balloons have a combined lifting strength of 45,360 pounds. How much do you figure the 80 people will weigh? Well, he said, writing down more figures in the sand, if you divide the 80 people by sexes, half are women. If you divide them by generations, half are children. 130 pounds per person is a safe figure under these circumstances. The 80 people will weigh 10,400 pounds, but let me see, how much do you weigh? In the roundest of numbers, I answered, I weigh 180 pounds. All right, said Mr. F. That makes 10,580 pounds, leaving 34,780 pounds over to take care of the total weight of the platform. I agreed that this all sounded very reasonable. But one thing bothers me, I said. How do you get the balloons filled with hydrogen and the platform off the ground in 10 minutes? That was our most difficult problem. Come with me. I'll show you the platform and how we think we have solved the great question of a fast getaway. I put my bathrobe on and followed him through the jungle fringe. After a good long walk, we came to a clearing which was as far away from the mountain as it was possible to get on the island. The huge platform was situated here. I remembered having seen it from the balloon merry-go-round the day before. I had thought then, seeing it from the air, that it was some sort of outside dancing floor with a bandstand in the middle. What I thought was the bandstand turned out to be a large steel cylinder. Mr. F. showed me 4 wooden vats, one on the ground near each side of the balloon platform. There were hoses leading from the vats to the balloons in what Mr. F. described as pitchfork connections. The hoses were large and single as they left the vats, then branched off into similar hoses, each one attached to a balloon. This is how we believe we have solved the problem of a quick takeoff, he said. Compressed hydrogen. Each of these vats contains 300,000 cubic feet of hydrogen compressed at 1,600 pounds to the square inch. The hydrogen is kept in steel cylinders which are submerged in water in the vats to keep leakage down to a minimum and keep the hot rays of the sun from direct contact with the cylinders. In the event of an emergency, we will all rush to the platform, jump on, and each family will stand by a balloon. The big valves in the 4 vats will be turned on full force. Each family will have to see that its balloon is carefully handled so that the tremendous rush of oxygen into it won't cause any tears, rips, or snarls. The smaller balloons will fit first. There is a lever near each balloon which controls the valve allowing gas to enter it. When the small ones are 3/4 full, their valves will be shut off. Shutting off the smaller balloons' valves will speed the filling of the big ones, since they will be receiving all of the pressure. Mr. F. then picked up one of the hoses and showed it to me. There was a sort of ball and socket connection in each hose. He explained that it took a 150-pound pull to separate the hose at this connection. Each hose has a connection such as this, he explained. 20 hoses makes a total pull of 3,000 pounds. The balloon platform isn't tied down with ropes before he takes off. It is held down only by these hoses. Gas rushes into the balloons until the platform rises, and there is a 3,000-pound pull on the 20 hoses. The platform then tears itself away from the hose connections and leaps into the air as if it were given a huge boost. There is a valve in the ball end of each ball and socket connection. It allows gas to be forced into the balloon, but prevents gas from escaping when the connection with the vats is broken. When the balloon platform is in the air, the hoses will be pulled in and attached to hoses from the smaller compressed hydrogen tank on the platform itself. It is with the hydrogen on the platform that right will be controlled. How can you control the flight? That flight will be controlled. How can you control the flight of the platform? By adding hydrogen to the balloons, we can go higher to a certain extent. By detaching the hoses from the tank on the platform and releasing hydrogen from the balloons, we can make the platform descend. Where we go is, as usual, left entirely to the winds. However, since we carry our own hydrogen supply, there is no reason why, with any sort of a wind, and a minimum of luck, we can't travel a tremendous distance. How do you keep the platform level? We plan to do it in much the same way as we keep the balloon merry-go-round level. only the process will be reversed. We have no desire to take long trips in the balloon merry-go-round, so we keep it level by releasing hydrogen from the high side until it is even with the low side. On the balloon platform, we will add hydrogen to the low side and bring it up level with the high side, so that the platform as a whole will gain altitude instead of descending. Each family will stand near its balloon on the platform, thus distributing the weight fairly evenly. I walked around on the platform. The floorboards were springy underfoot, and you could see grass underneath, through the spaces beneath them. I tried to imagine this huge floor in flight, looking through the boards at a city underneath. How frightening and incredible it would be to be moving through space on such a huge piece of construction, with 80 other people. The balloons were carefully folded and under tarpaulins. I took a look at several of them. They were magnificent, made of beautiful rubberized silk, and each balloon was painted many different iridescent colors. I tried to picture the reaction of people in other countries if they were to suddenly look up in the sky and see the balloon platform, its white lattice floor bordered by a graceful balustrade over which were leaning the richly clothed Krakatoans. The 20 brilliant balloons above, and the frightening silence with which such a huge airship would seem suddenly to make its appearance. There is no noise in balloon travel. In any other form of travel, you are warned by some sort of noise of the approach of whatever the conveyance. Even ships cause a ripple of waves in the calmest of waters. Balloons are silent, except on rare occasions when you might possibly hear the ghostly whistle of the wind through the ropes. There is no nicer way of traveling than in some form of lighter-than aircraft. The balloon platform would certainly make a delightfully attractive appearance if it should have to fly over any foreign country, I remarked. Its appearance played a big part in its planning, said Mr. F. It wasn't really necessary to go to all the trouble we did in making the handsome hollow-carved wooden balustrade, or to put so much thought, work, and time into the painting of the balloons. A lighter, simply balustrade and plain balloons would have made the platform fly just as well. If we should have to land in other countries, we want to be welcomed as extraordinary visitors who have gaily announced their arrival rather than be suspected of being invaders in some sort of aerial Trojan horse. By the way, he added, have you a parachute? Of course not, I answered. I threw everything overboard on the globe. I didn't carry one anyway. I didn't feel I needed one. Each family here has a family parachute, another invention of ours. A family parachute is so built as to keep a family of 4 together during a descent. Isn't it possible to land the balloon platform? Hardly so, said Mr. F. In the first place, it would be hard to find enough level space in which to land such a huge aircraft, and in the second place, it wouldn't be possible to deflate the balloons fast enough to prevent the wind from blowing it and dragging it across the countryside. We would have to deflate them slowly in order to make a reasonably smooth landing, and before we would be able to collapse them, the wind would drag us off, ripping the platform into splinters and endangering our lives. We wouldn't dare risk a landing in this. We plan to jump off, picking our countries and spots with care. If we ever have to take a trip on it. Professor Sherman, I would advise you to get a parachute as soon as you possibly can. How can I get one in Krakatoa? I asked. See Mrs. M. She and her husband designed and made the family parachutes. I'm sure she has enough silk left over to make you an ordinary one. We went together to M's Moroccan house, and I told Mrs. M my problem. Why, certainly, she said, I can make you a parachute, but it'll take me about 2 weeks. But then I doubt if you'll be needing it before then. I hope not, anyway, she said, laughing. Of course not, I said. Take your time. There's no rush at all.